Footsteps. Wet footsteps in the distance. No, it was close. There was haste in the heart. The need to be somewhere. No, to relay a warning. Something was wrong. The warning was urgent. The rain was falling down in torrents, soaking his cloak, making him stick to his side. The smell of wet earth was saturating his senses. The smell was familiar, yet totally alien. With effort, the watcher put his hands on the side of his pounding head. Gills opened and closed, breathing in the wet air. With effort, he forced his eyes open. He was lying in a forest road, lined with tall trees as far as the eye could see, with dwellings carved directly into large tree trunks. No, not carved, molded straight into the trees. With effort, the watcher put his arms underneath him and pushed himself halfway up, before the sight of his arms caused him to collapse again. In amazement, he looked at his two strange limbs. Two long, dark-scaled arms leading to clawed reptilian hands trembled in front of his eyes. The scales covering every inch were smooth with a green tint. His tongue felt huge and leathery inside his mouth. It seemed to have a will of its own, always squirming, jumping out, tasting the air. "What's going on?" the watcher thought, befuddled. "Who am I? What am I?" A buzzing sound came from the left, in a thick forest undergrowth next to the road. His eyes snapped to the strange flying insects trying to escape. On instinct, a long tongue shot out, engulfing the small insect. His jaws closed down on the small morsel before he realized what was happening. Sweet, delicious nectar spilled into his mouth. Epoxiol, the word came from nowhere. Utterly surprised, he sat up in the road, chewing on the crunchy insect, taking in the strange sights. Where was he going? At the end of the road, looming above all the other trees, stood a mountainous tree. The origin tree. The last of the elder trees. The canopy of the enormous tree disappeared behind waves of rain falling down from high above. Looking at the base of the tree, he was amazed at how the city was molded and carved into the great tree. The base of the trunk in front of him was ornately carved into intricate structures. The temple complex. That was his destination. He had to relay a warning. It was urgent. Getting up sent waves of dizziness over him. He almost faltered, but by sheer will he stumbled on. He had to warn them. Them? Who was he supposed to warn again? Everything was fading like a dream. The more he grasped at the details, the more it slipped. Bearing down and slapping his face as hard as he could, he regained a measure of control. He was the watcher. He was the watcher, stationed in the Ashering. He was guarding the 314th summoning cliff. There was an attack? There was... Memories faded again as pain returned in force. It felt like something was drilling into his brain and sucking out his soul. Ignoring the pain, he carried on. The streets were deserted. Where was everyone? With one eye pushed open, he carried on, web feet splashing unevenly in the rain. Between the trees he could see tunnels leading down to the roots below. He longed to climb down into a dry hole and sleep. He almost did. Blinking, he steeled his will again and soldiered on. Abruptly, the massive tree trunk was right in front of him. How long has he been walking? He didn't even remember the journey here. The pain was unbearable. Yet even so, the majesty of the temple complex carved in front of him was breathtaking. If he could just get to the bottom of the temple complex, someone would know what to do. With legs like ironbark, he reached the giant wooden gates of the temple complex. Like a null-sighted, he reached and touched for a rail leading down the beautiful molded wooden stairs. The warning, the summoning. He had to focus. There were others here too. I looked at them in concern, but they were only fading shadows. Their voices sounded muffled, and their bodies swam and warped in front of his eyes. A sleek reptilian creature with feline features hurried towards him. Kaash! Kaash, are you okay? Kaash? Yes, that was his name. He was Kaash of the Lumar, wasn't he? The Watcher of the Asherim border. He was guarding the glyph for... Something happened. Something... Someone put a hand on his shoulder, but he shrugged it off. He had to keep moving. He had to keep going down the stairs and warn them. Another painful shot through his head, followed by a piercing ring in his ears. He started to scream. Then, after a few seconds, the pain inverted. It became a doorway. What a strange sensation. Then there was a memory. Something forgotten. Something remembered. The stairs leaded to blackness. Kaash let go and was no more. Fade to black. A bright light. Clarity. Remembering them all. The one. The eternal. Dying core.